Let's start with addProvider. addProvider handles the app's state and simulates the remote API. In addProvider, we'll create a variable called _state to manage the state. Give appState.initial as the initial value of _state. And let's create a state getter so that we can access _state from the outside. And we will create a future void type getResult async function that will simulate remote API calls. getResult receives the user input as an argument. The getResult function is a function that takes time to process because it simulates the remote API. So when entering the function, the state is changed to loading, and the changed state is notified to listeners using notifier_listeners function. Next, wait for 1 second using future.delayed function to simulate the remote API call. Next, do the necessary work in the try-catch block. First, in the try block, check whether the search term is a fail, and if it is a fail, throw an error. If search term is not fail, it is success, so change appState to appState.success and notify listeners that state has changes to success using notifier_listeners function. In the catch block, change the state to appState.error and notify listeners that the state has changes to appState.error using notifier_listeners function. Now let's go to main and implement a submit function. First, we will change the auto-validate mode value to auto-validate mode.always in setState. This means that once a form is submitted, validation is always performed on all form inputs. Next, create a variable called form and save the current state value of form key. If the form variable is null or the form is not valid, do nothing and return. Otherwise, save the form. Next, we will call the getResult function in the submit function. And since getResult returns a future void type, make the submit function an async function. And we will create a try-catch block in the submit function to process it. Let's call the getResult async function in the try block. In this case, since the argument of the getResult function is a non-nullable type string variable, the bang operator is applied to the search term. I mentioned that if the result of getResult is success, it goes to success page. So use navigator.push to navigate to success page. And in the catch block, when an error occurs, a dialog is displayed that says something went wrong using the show dialog function. With this, the submit function was completed for now. However, when you submit, it takes a while for the result to come out. During that time, it's good to let users know that something is going on. So in the build function, we create a final variable called appState and save the value whenever the state of the addProvider changes. There are various ways to inform the user of the state when the appState is loading. I will change the title of the button. You will change it so if the appState is loading, the title of the button is changed from getResult to loading. And to prevent submit from being submitted again, if appState is loading, assign null to onPressed to disable the button. Let's run it after a hard restart. Let's submit without entering anything. An error is displayed. This time, enter success and submit. Now, loading is displayed and I have successfully navigated to success page. This time, enter fail and submit. But again, success page was displayed. Why is this? If you look at the addProvider.dot file, it throws an error when it fails, but only the state was changed in the catch block and no error was thrown again. So there was no error to catch in the catch of submit. So after getResult from submit, it just went to navigator.push. And therefore, the getResult function must be modified so that the submit function can catch the error thrown by the getResult try block. So the error thrown in the try block of getResult is rethrown in the catch block so that it can be caught and submit. Let's run it after hard restart. Let's enter XYZ. I have successfully moved to success page. Let's type fail this time. The dialog was displayed normally this time. So we looked at the first method of navigating and displaying a dialog when performing an async operation in a provider. The calling side uses async await and waits until this action is finished. Then navigator.push or show dialog is executed. Next time we'll see how to handle it in a different way.